Hello and welcome to this very special election show. CNN News 18 welcomes you to Citizens Manifesto, where the citizens come on our platform and tell you what is important to them. We leave the politicians out. We leave the politics and the noise out. This is truly a Citizens Manifesto. Our first episode was in Chennai last week. Tonight, we are in the beautiful garden city of Bengaluru. Well, garden city it is, but the temperatures are rising, certainly here in the city. In the daytime, we're talking about 37, 38 degrees, and so is the political temperature. The heat and dust of the election campaigning is also rising in Bengaluru and in the rest of Karnataka. So which way is the wind blowing in Karnataka? What is the citizen of Bengaluru interested in most? What is it that the voter of Bengaluru cares about the most? Or, like we saw in the last election and elections prior to that, is voter apathy the only thing that concerns the voters of Bengaluru? We're in this beautiful college campus at the St. Joseph's College here in the heart of Bengaluru, one of the oldest and finest institutions in the city. And we have a lovely audience of young students who is joining us, and they'll be asking questions to this lovely panel that's joining us on the stage. So let me start from my right to the left. Brinda Adige, very popular women's rights activist here in Bengaluru city. Harish Bijur is a well-known brand consultant. B.S. Arun is a senior journalist. And we'll also be joined by Mr. Mohandas Pai, who, as predictably, is stuck in Bengaluru traffic. But let's leave that for when he comes. But let me ask Brinda Adige, what is the big overarching theme of this election according to you, or is there none? Is it a cold, lackluster, lukewarm kind of an election?
I think there are several issues, and these have been recurring again and again. One is the entire infrastructure. We're talking about corruption, unemployment. We're also looking at a lot of issues that citizens themselves relate with on a daily basis. Now, it could be anything from the water scarcity to not having access to everyday items, everyday issues. We know that a lot of women are very happy with the free bus service. But then we also know that there are not enough of those services. There is a lot of talk about people who have passed out of colleges, very prestigious colleges, and there is no employment. Though a lot of the politicians continuously keep talking about increasing access to employment or calling all kinds of companies coming to Bangalore and setting up shop. But you don't see this in reality, that people can access any of these so-called benefits. And of course, there is this overarching issue where a large group of people who are not influential, who do not have the money, not having the abilities to access that. We've had a lot of problem where several resident welfare associations have said that we have the money that we've collected from everybody, but we do not have water tankers coming. It's going only to the influential people, to the politicians and whoever it might be. There are restrictions that are put for the large number of people who are actually working. But there are no such restrictions to others who might continue to
use water, wastewater, and so on.
Water.
But Harish, if there are all of these issues, whether it is corruption, whether it is, these business of guarantees, and of course now because of the temperatures, the whole water scarcity issue, why are we not seeing that in the heat and dust of the campaign? Why are people not turning out in the way that it used to be? Even the politicians are having restricted campaign times, because it seems like almost like an issue-less election in Karnataka this time around. Why is that if all of these issues are there then?
Firstly, welcome to Bengaluru. And, we are in the beautiful surroundings of St. Joseph's College, which is my college. I studied here. What you see out here is the old hostel block. So I've got plenty of fond memories out here. That apart.
Plenty of notorious stories also.
Notorious. So this hostel block, plenty of stories to tell. But having said that, as an alum, let me put it this way, that this election is a very important election for us. The issues are being discussed. But what's really happened is, there are two levels. One is at the complete grassroots level, So electioneering can be seen in the tiny colonies of our different parts of the state. Now that's actually happening. Door-to-door campaigning, canvassing, people reaching out to people who are going to come out and actually vote on the day to vote.
Okay.
But Bengaluru is notorious that literally 50% of the city
Correct.
just doesn't vote. And therefore, that part of the city does not see the campaign at all. Because I think political parties have very savvily said, I will reach out to people who will actually come out to the booths and vote. The second campaign is digital. It's on television, it's on print, it's on
Social
the national
media.
network campaigns of PM Modi and the opposition, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, etc., etc. So that's going on. So the middle bit, this cynical middle bit is being left out. And that's the missing element in this entire election.
The middle class.
Well, it's really not all of the middle class, but it's a cynical middle class.
Okay.
Because there's plenty of pain in my heart when I think that in Bengaluru, only about a max of 58% of people are going to turn out to vote this election.
In fact, the last Lok Sabha election, it was 52%. So
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
Just about half the city turned out. The rest of the half the city, it was a long weekend.
Absolutely.
And they went
this
off.
is also a long weekend, by
Exactly.
the way. And I think, that's a big worry for us. Because if half the city is cynical, then half the city does not walk the talk. It just talks the talk. I keep saying, if you don't come out there and vote on the day you're meant to vote, you're outsourcing our democracy to someone else.
Correct.
And possibly even a minority can have a majority say.
So
and that's tragic.
Why is that the case? I mean, is it just urban apathy? We're seeing this in other cities as well. In Mumbai, Mumbai perhaps is a better off example. Even in Delhi, the voter turnout is maybe slightly above 50%, closer to 50-55%. But in Bengaluru, it's notoriously sort of just about touching 50. Like I said last time around as well. Is it because a large number of people who are living in the city have come from outside, they're migrant population? Again, as Harish said, it's a Friday, voting day is a Friday, it's a long weekend, let's drive off to Coorg or Madikeri or wherever.
Yes, people coming from other cities to live here, that could be one reason, but that's not the only reason, Zaka. See, you talked about Friday, a weekend being the voting day, but look what happened during the assembly elections. It was on a weekday, it was on a Wednesday, but even then, the voting percentage was almost near the same. So it doesn't matter to them whether it's a weekday or a weekend. The people just want to take off, stay at home, or just go out and enjoy their, holiday.
So then, as Harish said, then you don't have the right to complain, right? And then you can't complain about, one part of the city flooding when the rains happen, one part of the city going out of water when the drought happens.
Yes, but that's what happens. Now, look at the electioneering that's happening, the campaigning. We unfortunately are witnessing our leaders hurling personal abuses instead of talking about Bangalore's water problem, how to overcome that, or the unemployment problem faced by our youngsters. These are not the election issues. And every
So
day.
let's talk about the water problem. What, according to you, because this has been known, it's not a new problem. Of course, it's much more acute this year because the rains haven't happened. It's a drought year and so on. But the fact that Bangalore could end up becoming like Cape Town or Durban, this is something that we've known for the last 20 years. And we've had alternating governments, BJP government, Congress government, Congress JDS government, and yet nobody seems to have done a thing.
That's true. We have to overcome political differences and find a long-term solution for these. It's not the rains failed last year, and that's the main reason why we are facing water problem this year. But it needs a long-term plan as to how to bring water to Bangalore. Bangalore doesn't have its own source. That's the whole problem. The crux of the problem lies there. We are getting water from Krishnaraja Sagar in Mysore, over 140 kilometers away. So that's the main problem. We are getting water from there, and water gets depleted there, and we face problem here.
Okay.
Another thing is, from where we have to get water now, that our political leaders have to think, rethink, analyze, and take the help of the experts. And then
I was told, Harish, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that there is a Kaveri Stage 5 project which was supposed to be complete by late last year, by December of 2023. No one's even talking about it.
Likely to happen in July, I'm told now.
Okay.
The dates keep getting pushed. But then this obviously means that we don't plan for the future. Most of the time, when it comes to basic amenities of the people, we tend to plan the way it is today. And we think of 2 years hence.
Yeah.
But this city has galloped Actually, this city is a population of 142 lakh people on any single day. And which simply means to say that we aren't able to handle this kind of a people burden in inverted commas. The city is not meant to house 142 lakh people. If you ask me, I think the disease starts with this term called greed. I think we have gone greedy in Bengaluru. Greed is good was a paraphrase statement from the United States of America. We have adopted it literally in Bengaluru. This is wrong. You cannot cramp a city as much as we are cramping it. We need to ensure, see, the simple analogy I draw is, we have tall buildings. Now, as tall the buildings are, that deep you need to go to bore water, find water. We used to find water in Bengaluru, in this area, in the St. Joseph's College area, at 110 feet. Today, you go down to 1,800, 2,100 feet, you're not finding water.
Still not finding water.
Now, this is greed. So I think a simple point is we need to demagnetize Bengaluru. You cannot continue to burden Mother Bengaluru continuously. We need to have satellite cities and towns which demagnetize Bangalore. If we don't do this, nature will.
Of course, and we saw parts of that in the floods last year in parts of the city which was completely washed out. We have a lovely audience of young students from the St. Joseph's College. That's the venue. That's where we're coming to you live from tonight. So I'm going to ask my colleague Ritu, who's there with the mic, to ask some of these young people, if you have questions for our panelists on what this election means. Let me start off with the whole voter apathy question. For a show of hands, how many of you have a registered vote here in the city of Bengaluru? Okay. And how many among you will actually turn out to vote? Okay, let's ask one of the young ladies there at the back row. What is the number one issue for you, ma'am, for this election? What do you think is the big thing that people like you, youngsters like you, Gen Z as you're called, what is it that you care about?
Yeah, basically, I'm not a resident of Bangalore, but when it comes to Bangalore as a whole, one of the biggest issue that I face personally is the water crisis, because I live in PG here. So there is contaminated water. Sometimes there is a low form of water that I can't get it properly most of the time. Okay. So it's one of the problem that Bangalore is facing. The second will be traffic. Obviously, there are people migrated as me. There are people like that who are coming to Bangalore. So there is a form of population increase, as I said. Population increase is always there. So in terms of that, there is traffic also increasing simultaneously. So these are the two problems that I personally face. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I think the gentleman there also had raised his hand saying he has a vote in Bengaluru. The gentleman in the black shirt. Yeah. What for you is you have a question for our panel, and what for you, for Gen Z, young voters, first-time voters? By the way, this time around, we have, I think, 1.9 or almost 2 crore first-time voters across India. So our generation, the oldies, are looking to you guys for direction. We're looking to you guys to know what makes you tick. What is the issue that you care about? Or is yours a generation that is only worried about the long weekend and want to go off to Coorg or wherever?
No, sir. Sir, my question is about, we have a right to education, but we don't have a right to quality education, sir. Because I have seen, the students from the rural community or from the backward communities, so they study in the rural, Kannada medium or in the government schools. So people from the, the students from the middle class community, so they go to the normal general English schools. So, but people who, the students who can afford to the ICSE, CBSE and all, so they can go to the like St. Joseph institutions, they can go to the CRIS and all. So there is no equality in education system itself.
Okay.
So there is an inequality in infrastructure, inequality in the skill-based education, in the computer, library, everything. So, but what are we talking about? The inclusivity, social inclusivity, equality. So without there is no equality in our education system itself. There is no the Matrubhasha Shikshana in our country, in our state. So that is my concern, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Surely you're not referring to the St. Joseph's institution, but we'll leave it that for another day. But Brinda, I think this is a fair point that the young man is making, that what about inclusivity when it comes to education? And obviously, for young people, the biggest concern is, will they get jobs? Will they get sufficiently paying jobs? Jobs that they are skilled for, that they're qualified for? But more than that, the way to getting the job, the education, the formal education that you get, there is still a great degree of disparity in this country.
Absolutely right. The young man who spoke just now about equity not being present. But we also know that Bangalore is one of those cities better off where education is concerned. And if you
because
look
it has legacy institutions.
Yeah, there's a very long history about it. But if you look at statistics, the literacy level in Bangalore is the lowest in Karnataka.
In the city?
Yes.
Wow.
So Bangalore city literacy level
Why
is the
that?
lowest.
You would imagine the opposite would be true.
No, no. When we are talking about the literacy level, which means we're talking of all the migrant laborers, everybody
Sure.
coming in. And that is also a concern that he has raised. One part of it being all the rural areas. The other part of it being, are there sufficient schools over here for catering to the primary education and the higher primary education of the poor and the migrant people who come in over here. And then the competition to get into a prestigious college.
Of course.
That continues to be here. But we're also looking at the cost of education, which is expensive.
You think it's gone up substantially in the last few years?
It's gone up substantially, yes. And we're also looking at the kind of student loans that are not available. And in this particular instance, I have to say that the last couple of years, minority scholarships have dwindled. SC/ST scholarships have completely closed. So we do not have any option for these students to enter into such colleges.
Institutions.
So wherever they may be going, there is going to be a lot of competition. So
Okay.
the government has to be held responsible
Sure.
when these scholarships have been taken away.
Arun, quick point, and I'll go back to the audience after that. Yeah.
We were talking about urban apathy, but I'm a tad disappointed here. Looking at our youngsters, there's some 30 people here, and just about 8-9 of them raised their hands when they said, have they registered? And of them, only 1 or 2 said they would be voting on that day. I mean, this is the attitude of our youngsters who are our future. I don't know. I'm really disappointed seeing this.
But that, you can't blame them alone, because my first instinct was how many of you are eligible to vote, because I don't know the age group here, whether they are above 18. But let's try and see if we can get more questions from the audience for our panel. Yeah, the gentleman there at the back row with the black shirt.
Hello. So we talked about infrastructure, and I feel in Bangalore we have the both extremes, because in rainy seasons we see the road floods over and so much of sewage, street and all doesn't happen. But we also see the other extreme where we are facing water crisis. And we see the people who are suffering, who have to go travel every day, and there's so many, the potholes. And when the election comes, they just make new roads, make it look new, and they say, okay, that problem is solved. So I think what kind of approach would be good for the citizens as well, and for the government to say, okay, it is working out. It's not just, just for elections, and then it's gone.
So Harish, it's both ends of the problem, right? Right now we're talking about a drought, parts of the city running out of water. 6 months ago we were talking about parts of the city being flooded.
Yeah, Bengaluru is blessed. Bengaluru is cursed. So suddenly a drought of the kind that we're going through now, and then floods possibly in the next 2 months, because we're meant to have a terrific monsoon. We're expecting our April showers hopefully any time now. But to the question that he has raised, I would typically say that, there is a certain degree of hypocrisy which comes to the fore during an election. And sometimes I call it political hypocrisy. A politician will come up and promise the sky, and what is delivered is nothing but the earth, if not under the earth. So the key issue is, I think citizens need to take it into our hands to manage our future. That's very, very important, because, Bengaluru isn't all that bad. Not at all. If Bengaluru was bad, none of us would be studying here. If Bengaluru was bad, none of us would be living here. We have a choice. And we made that choice to live here, make our lives out of here, and study here. And come next month, all of you guys will be talking about the lovely, salubrious climate of Bengaluru. Oh, I can't do without it. My pink tabuas will be out on social media like nobody's business. Come on, guys, appreciate the fact Bengaluru is a great city to be in. But who has to make Bengaluru a great city? Let's stop cribbing about the city. Let's actually step out and make it a better city. How do you make it a better city? By actually participating. What's the best way of participating? Coming out there on the 26th of this month and voting and say that I belong. If you don't vote, you're saying I do not belong. Do you belong or do you not belong? If you belong, come out there. So
Okay.
I think it's about ownership. It's about, civic organizations taking their, lead. It's about each one of us doing things on our own. Bengaluru has got terrific organization. The Bengaluru Political Action Committee, BPAC, does brilliant work. There are organizations, in Whitefield, in Indiranagar. Each one of these do brilliant work. Join them, guys. You don't have to be a political class person to improve Bengaluru. You can be a social class person, an economic class person, a religious class person. You can make a difference to Bengaluru. But
All right.
Stop talking, step out and do it.
Yeah, Brinda, very quickly, yeah.
Yes, I just want to second whatever Harish said, that if there is something happening in Bangalore by the politicians and the bureaucracy, we must place on record it is because the citizens are questioning and challenging. You'd be looking at all your Facebook, Insta, wherever that might be. There is a citizens manifesto. In fact, the same phrase we had of about 280 different organizations across Bangalore city who made a manifesto of our own, and expect that the government look at all of these everyday issues. Look at all the resident welfare associations. Today you have associations in Indiranagar, you have in Whitefield, and in all of these various, the new places where they have got the order that there cannot be constructions and there cannot be borewell digging. If any of you see any of these things happening, you have to take a video or photo and X about it.
Okay.
Because the government will act.
All right, I'll get one more question from an audience member here, the gentleman in the blue shirt. Ritu, if you can pass him the mic. One more question before we take a break on this segment. Yes.
So good evening all. My name is Mohammed Shoaib Shakil. So I've been a resident of Bengaluru from the past 24 years. And I've seen the city since I was a baby. So looking across, Bangalore's been in a very rapid pace of improvement and development. So before, the airport was a far, far place for us. Now it's part of the city. Devanahalli's become a neighboring corner for us. So a lot of things have come up. And cost of living is going up. So I remember where I could have a meal in $100 for two people. Now I can't afford that today. And there's a lot of things concerning. So even with both governments playing in, central and state, the cost of living is going up. The security of living in Bangalore is becoming harder. So should we stifle the growth of Bangalore so that we come to a rapid slowdown of stability where we can improve the city much better? Or should we stick to the pace which is going to, is benefiting us, like there is a plan of the 2047 Viksit Bharat. So yes, we are in line with that and everything's going well. So would it be better for us to stipend and go back to the old Bangalore days, go in the same pace?
Or should we go back to the old days?
Let me put it this way. You are, I'm saying exactly what you're saying. It's something close to my heart. I think we should stop development in Bengaluru. See, the analogy is, water, for instance. How many of you have had a bath this morning? Come on, put up your hands. Okay, none of you have. Oh, you got worried. Okay. Having a bath is a luxury. You belong to the upper class of society, the creamy layer of society, literally, if you have had a bath. Okay? I mean, something as basic as a bath. Now, simple thing is, there are three ways in which water reaches Bengaluru. One, Kaveri water reaches directly through a system of reservoirs, storage, directly to the homes. That is meant to be natural old Bengaluru. The second way water reaches you is through the borewells that you dig underground. That is unnatural Bengaluru. Don't exploit unnatural Bengaluru. And the third way is a territory where water reaches only through tankers. Now that is completely the ugliest part of Bangalore. So Bengaluru is the good where Kaveri water reaches meant to reach directly, the bad where we get water out of borewells, and the ugly is where we get water out of tankers, which is not meant to be. So demagnetize Bengaluru, my dear friends.
All right, so Mr. Pai, you've been stuck in the infamous Bangalore traffic, or what happened? How come you couldn't join us on the first part of the show?
Well, I got stuck in traffic. I mean, everybody gets stuck in traffic in Bangalore.
But tell me, this election, and I was asking this to everybody before the break, What is the big one overarching issue in this election, or is there none? Is it an issue-less, lackluster sort of an election?
I think the one overarching issue in these elections nationally is growth and development. Are we going to grow our economy to create high-quality jobs for young people who are coming into the workforce? For example, we graduate 1 crore young people every year. That's 10 million. That's more than most countries in the world. And we're going to increase the number because the gross enrollment rate is only 28. It's growing at about 3.5% a year. Maybe in 7-8 years, we'll be graduating 1.5 crores. The big thing is, will you grow this economy to create high-quality jobs for the young people who want to come into the workforce? To me, that's the biggest priority. The second priority is, are we going to improve the ease of living for large part of our population? Now, in the last 10 years, in the rural area, there's been tremendous improvement in infrastructure, in terms of giving them the basic necessities of life, and in giving them access to food, health, shelter, etc. Our urban areas have been totally neglected. Urban areas create wealth. They are the ones who pay the majority of taxes, and they are the ones who create high-quality jobs, and they have been ignored because of this great fascination that India has for villages. I don't think most of India lives in villages, because we still say urbanization 35%. Our definition is not the global definition and is wrong. Today it could be maybe 50%. And I don't think people want to live in villages. If you talk to villagers, they say don't want to live there. They want the children to come here. And we're not investing enough to grow, and therefore the quality of life in the most productive part of economy is coming down. So
you know, it's interesting you say this.
Ease of living.
Because just before the break, we had a young man who asked a question, and Harish, I think, seemed to second him, that at least as far as Bengaluru is concerned, we should stop the development. Enough of development.
I think
because there's
like
too much development, too many people, 1.5 crore people.
That is
just
ridiculous.
Can't take this much number of people.
That is ridiculous. It's like saying stop registration of cars in Bangalore because we got too many cars. The fact is, some people got on the gravy train and are having a great time. You can't shut everybody out.
Okay.
Now, people in this country will go wherever they want, where their jobs are. We have to invest to improve the quality of life. For example, we require 500 kilometers of metro. We have not put enough money. Metro is 3 years behind schedule. We have to put more money to work. We have to improve the water supply to Bangalore. We have to plan 15 years ahead. And we have to do many things to make Bangalore become much, much better like Delhi is. Delhi has got 400 kilometers of metro. Why can't we get 500 kilometers of metro? Delhi has 2.2 crore people. Right? It's the NCR region. Nothing can stop Bangalore. Now, shutting down development, shutting down this, we have to solve the problem. For example, this month and next month, we're supposed to get 500 million liters in Kaveri 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I hope they do it. I don't know what is the progress today. They're supposed to do it this month or next month. We must plan for more water for the next 15 years. Recycle water. Bangalore consumes 2,250 million liters of water a day. Why can't we recycle it? Use it for industry. Use it for non-potable purposes. And if we're able to do that, there'll be enough water in Bangalore.
So,
right?
Harish, you want to respond to that? I mean, the answer to an ever-expanding, ever-growing city can't be to stop expansion or to stop development.
Let me put it this way. Bangalore is what it is today. Bengaluru is what it is today because of the kind of development we have seen in the past. Otherwise, we wouldn't be occupying the kind of status we occupy today.
Sure.
But my simple point is this. In Kannada, we have a saying which says, Chape iddashte kal chachbeku.
What does that mean?
Which simply means, I know you're flummoxed, but let me put it this way. However long your mat is, you must spread your legs only, stretch it up to that.
Till there, okay.
So if your mat is wrinkled, you can keep your legs a little in. But then the point is, Bengaluru's chape is rather limited. Now we need to make it unlimited chape. In the sense, you have to increase the length of this mat so that enough of Bengaluru can fit into it. Typically, I'm really looking at a complete numbers point of view in terms of saying how much can this population grow in a very, very concentrated manner within the districts where population growth is. How much more vertical can we go upwards without getting the depth of water out from the downwards? So the issue is about infrastructure. something that all of us have been talking about for donkey's years. Mohan, Kiran, we've all been shouting about it from the rooftop again and again, that the infrastructure must fall into place before you plan developing and growing.
So why hasn't that happened? Who's that on?
Successive sets of governments. Every government is to be blamed for this, which we have had. Six governments.
Yeah, quickly, and then I'll get the audience to come in.
We don't have good governance. We don't have a full-time mayor. We get a mayor once a year, who has 1 year term for 5 years. We don't have an empowered city council, because I think the 79th Amendment gave, empowerment to villages, not to towns. We don't have that. Our chief minister acts like the mayor of Bangalore, because they don't want another political leader to come up for the most important city in Karnataka. Second, Bangalore.
But every other city has a mayor and has a
they don't want power. They don't want alternate power. They believe that it is a mayor in Bangalore will become so powerful, eclipse the chief minister. Okay, it's like the mayor of New York, who is known by everywhere and not the governor of the state, right? And then the third thing is Bangalore is a very rich city, rich pickings. Our city corporation, the most corrupt. Every government in the last 25 years has been more corrupt than the others, has not improved governance, has not put money. The use of tax money, which is 55-60% of the state, to give subsidies to the rural population to come to power for a very important reason I'll explain. For example, in this new budget, our revenue deficit has gone up to 27,000 crores for 24-25, 1,02,000 crores in subsidies, 50,000 crore more subsidy than previous year because of these guarantees. They're giving away taxpayers' money as guarantees where people don't deserve it.
Let me talk about these guarantees.
There's a political problem. I'll explain that. Then we can open up. You see, the problem is we in 1991, 91, 92, I think, we had a constitutional amendment which stopped delimitation for 30 years.
Yeah.
And the delimitation is supposed to take place based on 2021 census. Now, the delimitation means urban population will get more seats. And the number of people has increased in this country by maybe 500 million, and they must get more seats in parliament. That's why new parliament has been for 843. But urban areas will get more seats. In Karnataka, out of 226 or 228 seats, Bangalore's got only 26.
Yeah.
Bangalore's population of 1.2 crore is of nearly 20% of Karnataka population of 6.7 crore. But we don't have 20% seats. If we get 20% seats, we'll have enough representatives to make a voice heard.
I'll come to that delimitation part. Just 1 second.
To supplement it.
Yeah.
The point is that what Mohan is saying is totally right, because representation of city folk isn't enough in governance. Attitude to urban governance is very weak. Fund flows towards urban governance is weak. So you'll never develop the big cities. You want things out of the big city, but you'll not develop the big city. But let me ask the audience here as we get the questions. This whole business of guarantees, the Congress government here is saying we've promised 5 guarantees, we've delivered those 5 guarantees. Mr. Modi from Delhi is saying Modi ki guarantee. Do these guarantees work? Let me get a show of hands. How many of you people think that these guarantees work? Only one person out of an audience of about 30-35. So the guarantees don't work. And yet, Brinda, if I can bring you in, one of the things, we did this show in Chennai last week, and I'm told by my reporter colleagues here that one of the things that people are talking about in this city is the free bus ride for women and this 2,000 rupee for women. That's also a guarantee?
Yes, absolutely.
But people are saying guarantees are not working?
Yeah, but because they have not availed of those guarantees.
They don't need the guarantee.
And they don't need the guarantee. So we're looking at a large number, like I said in the earlier one. The economic strata, the lower economic strata and the middle class who get the 2,000 rupees as well as the free bus ride. And the free bus ride is women, 50% and more.
Yeah.
And of course, we see the audience itself does not have that kind of a representation. So also the stage over here. But if you talk to the women, they will tell you that the free bus ride is something that they will not want to give up. And the 2,000 rupee guarantee that women have got, because it's only the women households are getting it, they are very happy with it. So those guarantees we cannot grudge, nor can we criticize, because that is something that you and I may not think very important, but it is there and everybody wants it.
One of the arguments, just give me 10 seconds.
Let's talk data. Okay? Why don't we give a guarantee of 5,000 rupees a month to all citizens, 6.7 crore citizens of Karnataka? Give it. See, the point is we must help the poor. On that, there's no debate. But it was identify who are the poor. Now, in this 2000, I'm told 1.17 or 1.2 crore women get it.
Yeah.
Now, in Karnataka, we have 6.7 crore people.
Yes.
3.3 crore are women, females. Out of 3.3 crore, 1 crore are below the age of 20. Take them out. That's 2.3 crores. Okay, 2.3 crores, 1.3 crore are getting it, but they are not poor. If they're poor, give it to them. Identify who are below particular income. Karnataka, the richest state in India, 24-25 per capita income is 4,15,000 rupees. 28 lakhs, 25,000 crore is GDP. Give it to them, no problem. For poor people, give them a free bus pass. Give it to them, no problem. Our Chief Minister is saying the most important thing for him is 5 kg rice for 70% of Karnataka's population. 70% of Karnataka's population does not want this 5 kg free rice. What they want is high quality education for the children. You ask any mother, she'll tell you, I want my child to get a good high quality education in schools. I want them to go to a good college. I want them to get good jobs.
Okay.
Now you're giving them the doles, but you're not able to give them high quality education.
Okay.
You're not investing in scholarship. What is the future?
So,
give it to the poor on a maybe 20-25% of population, not 70%. That is the debate.
Sure. More questions from the audience. Yeah, the gentleman here in the blue shirt. Yeah.
Sir, I highly appreciate what you have mentioned and all that kind of things. Since we were really talking and we were focused about water all the time, definitely there are thousands of different issues which are actually where the focus is required as of now. Since you were talking about the education and all, and also the free services, there are many migrant population. There are even the native population is there who do not get the proper education as of now. And we also talk about, there are many dialogues which I have attended. We always talk about the youth should participate in the various organizations, various institutions, and do this thing and that thing. But in practical, it never happens. In practical, people are going. Maybe even if we talk about the youth, they will go for the certification. They will go for maybe just the remuneration purpose. But in actual, they are not doing it. So what do you think should be implemented or should be done in order to employ the youth to actually work to get the things done? Since I have done the research on the migrant population and along with my friend, we found out people are just not even, there is a, van education, something which happens where the mobile vans education which happen where the teachers itself goes to the different locations and educate the people. But that is not actually working out very well. So what do you have to say about that?
Look, you have to look at data. Don't take a small number and globalize, okay? How much is the migrant population in Bangalore? 5%, 10%? It's very less. Most of them are permanent people who come here. Most of them have got jobs. All right, let me give you some data. We have below the age of 22 crore people. All right, 2 crore young people. All right, we have got about 1.2 crore young people in school till class 12. Balance are possibly below the age of 6 or below the school going age. All right, out of which about 85-90% of school, we must give 12 years of schooling to every child in Karnataka. We must improve government schools. There must be free schooling for every child guaranteed. That means you want to go to a free government school, please go. You want to go to St. Joseph, pay a fee, please go. You have a choice, you should not be deprived of education. State must guarantee high quality, can invest. They're not investing. There are not enough, our Karnataka schools are going empty because in class 1, you'll be surprised to know, only 45% of students in class 1 in Karnataka go to government schools. Why is that? Because you don't teach them English as the language. The teachers don't perform as well. People feel private is better. Private may not be better. We have structural problems. In Karnataka, you'll be surprised. Only about 36% of young people in 18 to 23 go to college. Lowest among all the southern states. In Tamil Nadu is 49%. We need to give more scholarships. We need to improve university education.
Okay.
30% faculty shortage. Now tell me, you want to give 5 kg free rice to 70% of population. I'll give it to 25%. Use the money to fund universities, give scholarships, so they get better education.
I found this statistic also quite alarming. This recent ACER report points out that Karnataka has one of the worst teacher-to-student ratio.
No, they don't. I'm sorry. I don't know the data. Karnataka's teachers-to-student ratio for universities is 15.
No, not for universities, for primary education.
For primary school is about 18 or 20. It's quite good, very good.
I'll give you the data, but I was quite surprised to see that the level of teacher to student ratio is actually lowest in Karnataka, I believe, for the entire southern India. I'll give you the data in 1 second. But this whole thing about primary education being neglected, people don't want to send children to government schools, they want to send them to private schools. This is an issue that should be talked about, certainly should be talked about in the Citizens Manifesto. Forget about if it's being talked about or not in the election.
Certainly. I think we have to give more importance to that, especially in the government schools, because more government schools are there in the rural areas and our children have to go there and study. But what is happening is in many of these rural area places, these government schools are getting closed. So that's one problem. But there are other problems also. Recently, what we have faced over the last few months is the changing decisions of this government. About the public exams in the primary schools, they kept on changing. The High Court had to intervene, and now the Supreme Court has intervened. And students had a hell lot of a problem because of that. So when such is the situation facing our education field, I think drastic measures are needed at the government level to take a firm decision, Zaka, about issues like holding of elections. Why make our children captive to these decisions, these changing decisions of the government? So that's one of the major areas that the government will have to address.
Okay, let's get more questions from the audience here. Anybody else? Yeah, the gentleman in the black jacket.
Good evening. First of all, the migrant percentage of people in Bangalore is 42%, as I recently checked, and it comes second after Mumbai. Now, moving on to the promises you were talking about. So, coming to stats, that before the ruling government came into power, it promised us freebies, which accounts to 20% of the budget of the government. But this increases the fiscal deficit to 1,25,000 crores, which is 5.38% of the GSDP. However, according to Karnataka Fiscal Responsibility Act 2002, it limits it to 3% only, which hinders the growth and development in Bengaluru city. So these promises are based on sentiments rather than calculative decisions. So accordingly, who should we vote for if that's how it's going to go?
So are these based on sentiments rather than hard data? Brinda has a different view on that. So Brinda, you want to weigh in first?
This gentleman, whatever you spoke just now, yes, it's a grave concern. But a graver concern is also the huge loans that are not returned by companies.
No.
One moment, sir. No.
Please.
Will you let me speak?
Yeah, I will
Then you
answer
have to wait. Where we are asking the banks, these loans either get written off or they are never paid. And what you're talking about as percentage for freebies is a large number of people who benefit from it, who wait for it. Everybody may not go for the 5 kg rice, but everybody is looking to see that their child goes to school and also goes to college. The last 5-6 years, the SC/ST scholarships have totally shut down. So we do not have a large chunk of people who may be coming from the rural areas and also from the cities, aiming or aspiring to go into colleges because they don't get access to these scholarships, which almost 80 to 85% of the students look forward to. So there are two issues over here. One, I want to develop vis-a-vis companies, investments, whatever we are talking about on the revenue generation part of it. And the other is where I have to avail this education. I have to avail so that I will be getting a better job. So there are two things to it, and those freebies are important. And the freebies percentage is very small.
Harish wants to make a point, and then I'll come to you.
Zaka, this country gives 8 lakh crores as subsidies every year. The total return of total NPA of the banking system is 15 lakh crores. Out of which 9 lakh crores are supposedly recovered. Most of them are stuck in court. They're in the bankruptcy court. They're going to get bankrupt, and the process is going on because the courts don't work. This bogus thing that you wrote off and all that, they're technical write-off for tax purposes. It doesn't mean the claims have been taken away. Okay. I think people must understand this very well. Now, Zaka, if we demand every child should get 12 years of good quality education, yes. The state should give it. Why can't we increase the budget for higher education? Give them better education, start more jobs so they can get more qualified for jobs. You'll be surprised in Karnataka, we have 5.5 lakh graduates. We produce 8 lakh jobs as per the EPFO data per year. We produce more jobs than graduates coming in, which is filled by people from outside. So we must look into data, not mix up issues.
Okay.
Education, yes. Health, yes. But don't say you wrote off debt and all that. That's all bogus arguments.
Harish.
That is not bogus.
See, Zaka, I'm responding to the point made by this young man and the debate that we're having. I've just done a study of 6 political party manifestos just released up to day before yesterday. I see 4 types of promises in all the manifestos. Promise number 1, every manifesto is a promise. Okay, it's a promissory note, literally, if not a promissory document. The base level of a promise is a need-based promise. Nobody in India must go hungry. It's a right of a person to have food in them. Nobody in India must go without education. These are basic rights. So I don't consider these to be freebies at all. Every government is offering, food and education. It's not a freebie for me. So that's a base one. This is need-based. The next is a want-based. Everybody wants a mixie in their house, a cycle in their house, a cow in their house. Now, this is a want. Don't give them this. Governments are not meant to be giving this to people. Then there is a desire-based promises. I want this kind of stuff happening in my locality, etc. Don't even give that. The last one is aspiration-based. For instance, I want India to be this powerhouse by 2047.
Yeah.
Now, that's a great aspiration. My simple point, after this long spiel, give people need-based guarantees. It's a nice one. Don't give them want-based, don't give them desire-based, but give them aspiration-based. Give just 2 guarantees, need-based and aspiration-based.
Okay.
I think it should go well, because you can't do without promises in a democracy.
Okay. A couple of more questions. The gentleman here in the grey shirt. I'm coming to you.
First of all, I like to appreciate, ma'am, that you have a good point on freebies. Actually, if you really want to see how freebies are working, please do visit villages. Well done, ma'am. And my second question is, why always Bangalore? In Karnataka, there are a lot of cities which you can make a planned city. Actually, Bangalore is not a planned city. It is an unplanned city, as we all know. Why not Mysore? Why not Bangalore? Or why not Mangalore? Or why not Hubli, Dharwad? Why the improvement is not going on there?
Okay. Fair point. It's a good question. Let's get a question from that gentleman there at the back as well, and then we'll get the panelists to answer. Yeah.
So my question is regarding Karnataka Shakti scheme. In the scheme, to avail the benefits, you need to be the resident of, you need to be from the state, domicile of the state, right? So why I shouldn't consider this scheme as discriminatory or a political agenda? Because to avail the benefits, I need to show the ID card and prove that I am a domicile of the city. Don't you think every woman should get the right to avail the scheme?
Okay. All right. Vrinda, you take that question, and the question from the gentleman, I think Mr. Pai can take. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. Where the bus pass is concerned, the free bus is concerned, every woman should get it, and it doesn't matter from which state or which other city that she has come. And that is a flaw that must be corrected. But like you mentioned, sir, we need to go into the villages to find out whether there is this benefit that they are really enjoying. And you will agree with me, yes, they are happy with it and they are enjoying it. And the mobility of women has increased as a result of this. So
okay.
I agree with this and I agree with that. I have one more point to make. We must remember that when Karnataka makes its revenue deposits, we get back 17 paisa. No, you have no right to speak like that. You are talking, you are quoting statistics. This statistic also must be taken up. So when you look at what is the money that's coming back to my state and how this gets distributed is an important aspect and component that we must address.
No, there again the population argument can also be brought forth. UP has 24 crore people, Karnataka has 6 crore people.
We should not make dubious argument. The Constitution of India said there shall be a finance commission every 5 years. They will determine how the revenue of the central government will be done. And that's what the finance commission has done. We have a legitimate grouse that they reduced the Karnataka's, in the last year, and actually was done by a committee headed by Raghuram Rajan. Raghuram Rajan recommended that, and Karnataka got short shift. Now, after 4 years, they're all raising the issue. In the next commission, we must agitate and say we must get more. But to say, Maharashtra, Bombay will say we provide most of the taxes because the corporations are there. If the corporation headquarters, their tax goes to that. Doesn't mean the tax is earned there. It's a much more complex issue. We should not give this dubious argument.
Okay, final word, Arun. I have to wrap up after this. Yeah.
Just pointing about what he was saying. The focus,
developing other cities.
Yeah, focus must shift to other cities. We can't stop development of Bangalore, and that's a given. No politician would like to stop development of Bangalore. And moreover, the companies themselves want to come and establish their units here. So that's one point. But the focus has to be on other cities. You develop Bangalore, that's a different thing. But then develop other cities also. Like, in Delhi. Delhi has other cities like Ghaziabad, Faridabad, Noida and Gurgaon. Whereas Bangalore doesn't have any of them.
There are no satellite cities.
So the focus has to be there.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to this wonderful audience. Can we have a round of applause for the lovely students of St. Joseph's Institution as well as to our panelists here. Thank you very much. If you've been tuned in to the Citizens Manifesto, this was episode 2 from the beautiful garden city of Bengaluru. We'll be chugging along the Citizens Manifesto next to Mumbai, Lucknow, Delhi and Kolkata. So do join us if you happen to be in any of those cities. In the meanwhile, from me, Zaka Jacob, and the rest of the CNN News 18 team, thank you for your time. Good night.